Welcome back to UFC Ninja. Here's a peek at last week's betting results to get you ready for the Ninja's breakdown on the next card.
Yeah, guys, welcome back. It's the Ninja. So, I had my producer throw up our bets from last week. It was a tight week. We had Klein as our favorite, and that fight against Herbert ended up going to a draw, so that was scary. But we squeezed out of that. We had Klein in our parlay, so we thankfully was able to hit that. But I'm excited for this week. I got an underdog pick that I'm pumped up about. And, other than that, last week was a close week, man. Makiev almost got subbed there. And, a couple of weird things happened. Gaethje won. But other than that, we had like every pick right except for Gaethje there for our breakdowns, guys. So we did nice work last week and hope you guys made a little bit of money. And I'm excited for this week. I got a underdog pick that I'm pumped about. But let's get into this one. We got the most ferocious fight of the night. Chris Beast Boy Barnett versus Chase the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman. Big old heavyweight fight with not any actual weight on it. This fight is going nowhere. These guys are back and forth, win and lose. So, don't even care to break this one down. I don't even have a favorite either side, and I don't even favor like the fight to finish or go the distance. I have no idea. They're so unpredictable, and I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, guys. Next up, we got Gerald, GM3 Meerschaert versus Joseph Body Bags Pyfer. This one, odds on this one, anyways. Let's see here. We got Joseph Pyfer at a minus 210, and GM3 is at a plus 169. So, it's not like we're going to go in here and break down GM3, but, GM3 is 35, and Joseph Pyfer here, he's 26, coming up, but, he's got pretty good grappling and jiu-jitsu also. He trains with like Sean Brady over there on the East Coast. Sean Brady's grappling is insane. So he's feeling Sean Brady and other guys over there, but he's got heavy striking. And one thing Sean Brady did say about him is that he hits harder than anyone who's ever hit him before. So he knows he's got heavy hands, and Pyfer's got a pretty good ability natural ability to sink some of his body weight into them punches when he lands them. So it's more natural for him. He's got good natural body movement, and that's like a good important thing to me. But he doesn't have great head movement. That's not that great. Doesn't really have any side to side. He does back up pretty decently, straight back, but doesn't have any side to side. Had not much for slipping. Hopefully he's been working on that. I know his corner, I think at one point was yelling at him, and that probably something that they're working on. But he's like a normal guy. He's had a hard childhood, stuff like that, but he's a good person at this point. Like in his interview, he said he likes good people and blah blah. So he's probably got to convince himself a little bit to get pissed off to finish a dude. After that fight he did win in the Contender Series, he was told the other dude, hey man, don't give up. You fought a good kid. You fought a good kid today. And in the first one, when he got his arm broke, he was a good loser as well. He's like, hey, man, no problem. It happens. And he, stop. Dude stopped right away. And it was like he was a good loser. It was completely pretty cool to see. And then came back through all that therapy and shit like that. And, he's pretty realistic in there, too. He lets his face kind of show a little bit of emotion. He doesn't, I'm not saying he shows like a quitting face, but he shows some emotion on his face, like good or bad. He gets like a veteran grizzled face in there when he's losing there against Ozzy. Ozzy was just pressing him hard, and Pyfer had to get into veteran mode and look grizzled and pull through there and push through, and keeps it real and doesn't fake himself like it's going to be an easy fight or something. He does have a heavy calf kick also. I've seen him snag one of them out there, and shows he can use that when somebody's pressuring him hard. I think that was on Ozzy. He got that on, but Pyfer just made a couple of mistakes grappling transition wise. So maybe Meerschaert can capitalize on that. But if Meerschaert just gets pressured up against the fence like he did, against like Chimaev, Pyfer does that. He pressures early. It's pretty rare to see Ozzy just come bouncing, pressuring him. Pyfer's a pretty good standing figure, and the way he stands it's hard to get at him. So it's going to be threatening to GM3 in my opinion, because Pyfer's got such a good stand-up stance, where GM3 is going to have a hard time taking him down. Pyfer's got good takedown defense, and I think it's going to be a bit of a striking battle, and I think Pyfer's going to clip GM3's chin and just put it away. So I think it's going to be a first-round knockout by Pyfer, but, Meerschaert fucking does submissions in his sleep, so you always got to expect a possible hedge for a submission on GM3 for almost any fight. It's ridiculous, but apparently he's been doing jiu-jitsu so long that, instead of sleepwalking, he does sleep jiu-jitsu. So that's all I got for this one, boys. Good luck to you. Any other thoughts on this one? All right, guys. Next up, we got Kelvin, the Mexican, Gastelum, versus Chris, the action man, Curtis. This one, we've seen Gastelum fight so much in the past. Gastelum's a plus 115. Chris Curtis is a minus 140. That Gastelum to me is just kind of washed up in a way, at least betting wise. I've picked him a couple times in the past here, and he's just lost. Hasn't looked the same really since back in the day. He's fought Bisping and whatnot. I mean, he's hard to finish. It's like after he fought that fight with Adesanya where he got knocked down all them times. I feel like after that fight, he's just been kind of on a down momentum. And Chris Curtis, he's kind of on an up and up. He did lose that fight to the Hermanson by decision, but overall, Chris Curtis is on his way up. At least, they're both older in their careers. Actually, Curtis is 35 and Gastelum's 31. He's younger somehow, but Gastelum's been through a lot of wars, and he just looks more weathered than Curtis at this point for some reason. And there's not a ton to break down the striking. I think that Curtis will probably win this one by decision, and I think that this fight will probably go the distance as well. I think this is also going to be my draw pick of the week, but we'll find out at the end here for my producer's favorite bet of the week. But really, that's all I got to break this one down, guys. I mean, there's nothing here that I want to bet on reliability-wise either, so even if I did think one thing or the other, I wouldn't be confident in it. So I'm going to stay away from this fight, and good luck to you with your thoughts or bets on this one, boys. All right, guys. Next up, we got Steve Mean Machine Garcia versus Shayilan Wolverine Nuerdanbieke. I just thinking about the Mean Machine, man. He went mean mode against Hooper in his last fight. I'm pretty sure I picked Hooper to actually beat him, I want to say. I thought Hooper would be able to stay out of the way of all his punches, but I don't think Hooper did anything to avoid punches in that fight, if I'm thinking about it now. But in this fight, I think Garcia is going to go mean mode again in the first round. And he goes so hillbilly mean mode that, that fits Wolverine's style here. Shayilan is the same way. He's like hillbilly wild mode also in the first round, but he's got some strength to him, and his chin and is solid, and his body is pretty solid too. So I think like Garcia's not going to be as durable as Shayilan here, and Shayilan's got better technique and more power in his punches, and he is more defensively sound than Garcia as well, in my opinion. So I feel like Shayilan's grappling foundation and his power and his striking is just as good. He's got like shorter limbs, but Let's see if I can look at the reach. 69 inches for Shayilan and 73 for Mean Machine. But I don't know. The way Garcia like leans in with his head, he creates a less reach needed to hit his chin. And Shayilan's crazy just as well. So I think you're both going to be swinging. I don't know if this one's going to make it out of the first round. There's a possibility of a bet there. You know how safe I like to play bets, but that would be a pretty unsafe bet for me. But I think this might end in the first round. And I don't think this fight will go the distance. There's probably for sure going to be a bet somewhere in one of those two. But, Garcia, he's been subbed in round one. He's been KO'd in round one in the past. And he's got his big windmill punches. I just don't think that's going to be enough to beat Shayilan here. And I think Shayilan is going to get him out of there with that Mean Machine style like that. So I think I'm going to go Shayilan, to get it done by KO or sub inside the distance here. And, any of my other thoughts there, I told you round one maybe or whatnot. But that's all I got for this one, boys. Good luck to you on your thoughts or breakdowns. And if you're thinking what I am, let me know. And maybe we'll put something on that. Alright guys, if you've made it this far, you are a competent individual. Just remind yourself you're not falling off into space. So, this story, our mixed martial arts story of the week, this one is a little slightly different, but still this one involves me and Randy, our Rottweiler, in training. So, one day I'm out here in the backyard. The hell we're doing out there, splitting wood or something, but all of a sudden my dog runs to the back of the yard and just inside of the wood line, and I couldn't see, and I heard her growl, and I couldn't see what was going on. I thought she was chasing a deer, but she never chases deer into the trees. She always stops at the tree line and just protects her yard. So the fact that she broke the tree line was weird to me. I'm like, oh, what in the hell? Must be something different than a deer. So, or it was like a fawn that laid down and she seen it and was just staring at it. She's not some super aggressive Rottweiler. So I walked back there. I called her. She didn't come. Which was weird. So you for sure come at least by the second time I call her. And I walk over there, and inside the tree line, I couldn't see anything, and I break the tree line, leaves and shit, and all of a sudden there's her standing there, tall, like Mufasa up on the rock, and there's 3 other dogs standing there in front of her, all frozen. All 4 of these dogs are frozen. My dog, German Rottweiler, she's like 4 or 5 years old maybe now, and these 3 other dogs, and one of them was bigger than my dog. My dog's like kind of a runt, so she's like 75 pounds, maybe 70, and there's a dog bigger than her, one the same size as her, and then there's another dog that was more of a puppy. It was probably about a year old, I could tell, maybe a year and a half, but a hound dog, and one of the other ones was a hound dog, and then the other one was a mutt. The middle-sized one was a mutt. But here's my dog having a standoff with these other 3 dogs that were trying to go into my yard, and I know where they came from, at this point, whose dogs they were, like through the woods across this other road. But I break the tree line, and my dog didn't move at all, and these 3 dogs looked at me. They were looking at my dog, and nobody moved. Everybody was frozen. I'm like, oh, what the fuck, And it was all body language from all these dogs. And then at that point, I was like trying to decipher what the fuck I should do with this situation. But I'm pretty sure those dogs weren't like aggressive, so I was like, what the hell? But I ran inside. I knew I couldn't fucking take on three of them necessarily if they all jumped my dog. And usually dogs like that they roll in a pack, and any dog that they intervene, they'll team up on and try to fuck them up, depending on what kind of dogs they are, if they've had any human or dog interaction, been socialized at all. So it's, you never freaking know. So I ran inside, grabbed my pistol, left my dog out there for a minute, run back outside, and, run back there, and then the fucking standoff is still happening. They're still right there frozen. Ain't nobody fucking moved yet. So I'm like, what the fuck? Here's my dog holding off three dogs with just their body language. Like, hey, motherfuckers, this is my yard. Don't even think about crossing this line right here, because right behind me is my property line. And anyway, these dogs are apparently just fucking trying to pass through like hobos. And so I, got my dog to really reluctantly, I got her to follow me back inside, and she kind of turned and cringed, kept her ears half up, and walked really slowly away from them dogs, barely wanted to turn her back to them, and start walking inside with me. And after that, these three dogs just kind of started walking and separated from each other, but they fanned out and started walking across my yard, and started walking towards the yard. Anyway, I popped off 2 rounds with my pistol then, and towards one of them in the backyard. I wasn't trying to hit them. I like dogs. I'm not trying to shoot them, but they weren't aggressive or nothing. But I popped off 2. One dog went running back home, and the puppy, he didn't do anything. He just chilled out, froze up, and then the other dog just kept wandering like he was used to gunshots. So, nothing much happened there. But I brought my dog inside, and whatever, let them dogs fuck off for the day. But I know where they come from and what I can do about it. But, it was a good show of just body language in this particular story. It's something you see a lot with people, but, it's always something that's a facade with people. Dogs are always the real thing, what they do, because, next is going to be a fight for sure, and a lot of people aren't as willing to fight to the death like animals are. Animals have that fight or flight deal, but it's they fight to the death. And when it comes down to that, that's a different kind of mentality than a lot of people technically have. Everybody has it in them, but it's different with a lot of these fighters too, in the UFC and whatnot. But it really comes down to a lot to body language, but how much of your body language is actually truthful, So for my dog, she was all about it. She was a truth as truth could be there, and she didn't flinch even an inch any one of them dogs, so nobody moved. And they were fearful of her. They didn't want to trespass into her yard. She showed she put up a little wall of security, and said, "Do not enter." And these dogs said, "Fuck, we're not entering." And they're like, "Well, what do we do now?" But those dogs had all day to stand off, apparently, so, fuck them. And hope you guys like the story, even though it wasn't directly human related. It's still directly human related. Psychology is the same with people, and, you've seen Habib fighting bears and stuff. There's a reason behind it. They have a lot to them that's, related to the human psyche. Okay, next up we got Kelvin, Trailblazer, Holland, versus Santiago, Argentine Dagger, Ponzinibbio. This one, the odds on this one, Holland is a minus 290, and Santiago is a plus 230. Man, I feel like Santiago is kind of always live, isn't he? They're both kind of back and forth fighters here, wins and losses. We've seen Santiago get clipped a bunch against Morono in his last fight. Holland got clipped a bunch against Wonderboy. He also clipped Wonderboy a bit. I watched some of that fight, but again, this is one of those fights that's they're back and forth fighters, and it's kind of unpredictable both ways, where I'd never place any substantial bet on either one of these guys at this point in their career. And after seeing what I have on them, so I'm really going to keep them out of any parlays or anything like that. I don't feel like one way or the other on this one like the odds do, but I don't feel like this fight will go the distance. I feel like one of these guys could finish the other guy here, even though they're both actually tough and come back from getting hurt a lot. So it's even a tough bet or a tough fight to bet that way, whether it goes a distance or not. But that's my only thoughts on this one, guys. Good luck if you're playing anything hard here or have a, wager one way or the other. All right, guys, this is the match I'm most excited about for the night. We got Raul El Nino Problema Rosas Jr. versus Christian C-Rod Rodriguez. And this one is going to be a battle. I'm excited about Christian Rodriguez. I like him quite a bit. He lost against JSP, but that was a pretty good loss. Even right at the very end of that fight, he was like slipping out of position and going to end up on top of JSP. So if that was like a 5-round title fight, C-Rod might have won that, in my opinion. But of course he needs to, maybe figure out a way to put a little bit more pressure on or be more aggressive to stop the takedown. I feel like sometimes Rodriguez is just kind of a nice guy where like he actually lets the fight kind of go wherever somebody wants to take it. Like if they want to work so hard to give up so much energy to work to take him down, he'll defend it to a certain point where he conserves energy, and then they'll use all this extra energy taking him down. He'll be like, oh yeah, whatever, like I'll just get back up easily, once you take me down and you've wasted energy. And I feel like he does that a lot all the time, and he's so good at managing energy in that way that he forces other people to use their energy, but in a way he lets them take the fight where they want to. So the thing is he's so comfortable everywhere that it doesn't matter to him where it goes. The fact that matters to him is that in the end he's going to end up on top with energy, finishing his opponent, and he doesn't care what they think they're going to do for the next minute or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. He's going to continually work. That's the other thing I like about it, is he continues to work out of it, though. He'll give up a position, but then he'll try to roll out, he'll work out, he'll turn on him, he'll get an underhook, whatever it is that he keeps working to change the position. He never settles, and when he keeps working like that, man, he wore JSP out. He couldn't even talk afterwards for his interview, and C-Rod was just still breathing, but he wasn't breathing nearly as heavy as JSP was. And Rodriguez just showed how he could manage his energy that way. He uses his body weight really well, and his technique is all proper. We saw Raul Rosas Jr. Taking down people like Jay Perrin in the first round there. Jay Perrin, he did not turn and face Raul and get an underhook like he's supposed to stay standing and keep his takedown defense. We see C-Rod do that exact thing, turn and face his opponent, when JSP tried taking him down. And he did exactly that. He went and got his proper technique, turned, faced him, got his underhook, then chose to cross-face, did some other stuff, try to work out of the position. One way wasn't working, he tried something different. He's not a stalemate kind of guy, even defensively like that. And as soon as it gets to the feet, he starts punching and pushing forward all the time. It's almost like you don't always see it in the grappling, although I do, in my opinion. But when he stands up, you see him immediately going after JSP with his hands, forward and pressing. And he's always pressing on the grappling if you can't see it, and he's pushing JSP to use his energy there. And it's a really effective way to fight, because he knows that in the end, he's going to come out on top. And just by managing his cardio that way and the way that he fights, is really nice. And the way we seen him strike, especially against Weems, like in the first round, we seen Weems get hit by C-Rod, and right at that first punch that he got hit there, I knew that C-Rod was going to come out on top. I knew right then Weems was looking to run away from C-Rod and get out of the cage somehow. So it just shows C-Rod's power that he carries around with him all the time. And Rosas got hit with some jabs, man, and he did not like it. I don't think he likes getting hit, and I don't think he's used to it. I don't think he's been hit a lot. And the way C-Rod is so aggressive and committed to those punches, and, they're not like huge looping punches that come from downtown that anybody can avoid, man. He's got nice little straight punches that are hard, that carry some of his body weight. And I think if Raul gets clipped by even one of them jabs, man, he's not going to like it. And it's going to cause him to disregard some of his technique and whatnot. And I think Christian could land more punches on him and hurt Raul. And with that way, he could get the better of him just with the punches when it does start standing or come to a standing. And C-Rod, could outwork him here too, also through the third rounds. We've seen Raul face his opponent there in the Contender Series where he was doing really good with the grappling, and the guy was able to avoid his early grappling. Raul was like switching his body triangle one side to the other when the dude was trying to get out, doing really good. The guy worked hard, though, and was able to push Raul all the way to the end. And C-Rod is, I think, tougher than both of them guys when it comes to that. And the way that he put up with JSP, JSP is kind of long like Raul and was able to do good with his grappling, like Raul could do really good here in the first round or round and a half. But, C-Rod could get some punches off here and there and get Raul's nose bleeding, get him breathing hard. And C-Rod could put him out of here one way or the other, in my opinion. And so, Raul, he's got, like I said, the grappling here we all know, but Christian's going to push him and not get submitted, in my opinion. So it's going to make it really hard for Raul here to face him. And, against Gutierrez, Raul's corner was telling him, try to get closer to him. But if you're going to get closer to C-Rod, man, he'll embrace that. He'll hit you, make you bleed, and then, start grappling with you on the ground until you quit. Because if you try to go into spurts with him with your cardio, he'll get to a point where you'll have to be recovering, and he'll get to the point where he's continuing on top of you and hurting you because he hurts with his punches. He doesn't mess around doing these wimpy-wampy things that look good for the cameraman. He pretends he's in like an underground shelter, and he it was hard to get him to smile in his last fight when he just beat down Weems. But it's like what he expects to do. He expects a real fight, and he's gonna to get the advantage with the cardio, and then he'll not let you get it back, and he'll hurt you or put you in a bad spot. He almost submitted JSP a couple of times, in my opinion. It looked he was close, and he gives up like his position for the submission there a lot. Like against Raul, it's a bit of a problem, but I think with the way Rodriguez, again, like I said, fights earlier, that he'll keep pushing so hard that Raul will be forced to always be on point, always be on top of his game. And with the way Rodriguez hits and hurts, and with the way his jiu-jitsu is so good, and his transitioning is so good, and he's still thoughtful and never panics in there, that I really like C-Rod in this position against Raul. And along with that, Christian Rodriguez has this new coach, Santino DeFranco, that he had against Weems as well.
You're going to go to sleep if you don't tap.
Santino DeFranco, the new coach of Christian Rodriguez. Things looking up for the 24-year-old. We'll make it official and hear from him next.
So that's cool. I'm happy to see that he's got a super professional coach now. I think Rodriguez is professional material, and I think he's going to go a little ways here. I really like his style anyways, personally. So I feel like, even though Raul's running through everybody here, Raul's only 18 and Christian's like 25. I think that, Raul, he's like the, German Shepherd puppy that's like, coming up like thinking he's tight shit. Like, oh damn, like this puppy's gonna be mean, this puppy's gonna do it. This thing's tough, and then it runs into like the neighbor's like middle-aged Rottweiler, that's like kind of looks like a runt, like my dog in particular. There's a runt to the litter, but she's a Rottweiler, and it's like, the Rottweiler's gonna hold its ground, like Christian Rodriguez is gonna hold his ground. Raul's going to be the little German Shepherd puppy that's looking tough, looking strong, looks like its muscles are filling in and everything, nipping at the neck and shit like that. My dog, the Rottweiler is going to be, moving its body around, doing some body motion, pushing him off, pushing him around, throwing its weight around a little bit. And then, the Shepherd's going to nip so much, get all hyped up, and the Rottweiler's going to put him down. And then, Christian's going to put him down with a punch, whatever, or knock him out, or ground and pound, and then choke him out. So I just see C-Rod winning this one, and I see him winning inside the distance, boys. All right, next up we got Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. This one, interesting fight here. I've been high on Yanez in the past. I thought early when I seen Yanez that he was going to, make his way down to the top 10, maybe even the top 5. And he's been good to me ever since. I've made money out of him ever since. He had a couple of battles, especially against Randy Costa. Got clipped up, and I feel like Rob Font could do what Costa did and kind of clip him up in the first round, be faster and be so aggressive like that. But if Yanez can make it through that, I think Yanez can maybe come back and give Font a mouthful and maybe take it to him for the second and third round. It's kind of a tough fight for me to break down now that Yanez has made it to some real competition, in my opinion. And obviously he's been facing some, but I felt like he's been good enough to make it down here. Maybe this fight will be under 2 rounds. I'm not positive because, Rob Font's tough, shows toughness, and Yanez is super tough. So maybe this fight will go the distance. I wouldn't make that bet, but that's really all I got in this one, guys. It's so hard for me to predict what's going to happen here. But I have liked Yanez in the past, and I know Font is pretty good in the first round, and Yanez is a little bit hittable with that jab and stuff in the first round. So good luck to your thoughts or bets on this one. I'm going to stay away from it. All right, co-main event, we got Gilbert Durino Burns versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. Yeah, this one, they're both getting older and both been in some wars, man. So they're both a bit weathered veterans here, and I feel like at this point in their career, like Gilbert maybe takes better care of his body, has better diet, stays healthier exercise-wise. Maybe that'll have something to do with this fight. I don't know in particular. Not if Masvidal just lands clean on the chin. That'll have nothing to do with it. But Gilbert might be able to take some punches and push through any bit of Masvidal's offense and use his cardio to win this fight, or just get a submission early, perhaps, if he gets a takedown on Masvidal. Maybe Masvidal will try to come out with a big kick or a knee, but I think Gilbert will avoid that and try to work his own grappling. Even though Gilbert likes to stand up a little bit and kind of hold his head still there, that could be a little bit of a problem, but Masvidal, after the first round, it won't be really much of a threat, so maybe if you want to hedge anything, if you're betting on this fight, like Masvidal round 1, even though Masvidal carries that power, but, his cardio hasn't looked as good, and Burns' cardio has looked really good, and, if Burns pushes this fight, it could make it easier on him, because the way that Colby was able to crowd Masvidal was the way to keep Masvidal's, striking game at bay. He crowded him like a wrestler crowding, and Gilbert doesn't really crowd like that as much. He kind of stays out in striking range, and then he tries to get a takedown. So that's kind of to his deficit, in my opinion, in this fight against Jorge. But if Gilbert pulls through here and keeps his energy, and he's in better shape than Jorge, and is able to get a takedown or two and survive the first round, I think Burns could come out on top. But I don't have any bets or any of these guys in a parlay, in my opinion, so good luck to you if you do. All right, main event. We just broke this fight down not too long ago here, but Alex Stonehands Pereira versus Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. Pereira, dude, the thing about him is he doesn't just have stone hands. He's got a stone chin and a stone body and a stone mind. Even in their kickboxing fights, we've seen Adesanya clip him once. I think he might have went down once, one in the shot from Adesanya, but otherwise he gets hit pretty good. He's gotten caught by Adesanya in the kickboxing fight and in the UFC there, and he's just stone all around. He's thick. can't be cracked. So he carries that power of his stone hands with him throughout the whole fight. And, you know, he had to get jacked up by his corner to come out there and finish Adesanya, but he did it then. He did it in the kickboxing fight. So I feel like that's apparently where he gets to, and he needs that type of situation where he gets pumped up and pressured by his corner and coach to push, and then he pushes forward and he gets the knockout at that point. So Adesanya just showed he can't elude that punch late in a fight, kickboxing or UFC, so he wasn't able to impose any ground game. You know, Pereira was able to get up and stay up on his feet, and he's shown that in the past here, so I feel like it's going to be the same as the last fight, and Pereira's going to eventually catch him, even if it comes down to the last round again. Maybe that's what, you know, Stone Hands needs. He needs his corner to fucking tell him to get the hell out there, and his coach that he respects to get aggressive and go punch him. Or, you know, he's going to be overconfident and maybe get caught by Adesanya and maybe put away, but I doubt it. He hasn't shown that he was overconfident in his last fight. But he did get caught by Adesanya here and there, but he's just made of stone. And it could be the story of this same fight. So I'm personally staying away from it. I don't have any guy in a parlay or anything like that. So if you do, you know, good luck to you, whatever side you're on, and I hope you win. All right, you guys know what time it is. You can break down the kicks, you can break down the punches, you can break down the stats, but at the end of the day, you got to break down the bets. Yeah, guys, so I narrowed it down for us. I got it down to 3 different bets and a 3-man parlay here for us. So my first bet this week is going to be Christian Rodriguez money line at plus 176. I want to take him inside the distance, but I'm not going to let my greedy ass get the better half of me and take him money line and just hope that he gets the W and be happy with that. Hopefully my thoughts are right there. The next bet we got this week, I'm going to take Garcia versus Nuerdanbieke. That fight does not go the distance. Yeah, I think that's going to be hillbilly swinging, and somebody's going to go down. Probably Garcia's going to go down also, I'm thinking lately here. And then my last bet for that here, Curtis versus Gastelum. That fight goes the distance. And that fight's also going to be my producer's favorite bet of the week, the draw bet this week. So Curtis versus Gastelum, draw and goes the distance. And then the parlay this week, a 3-man parlay, we got Joe Pyfer. He's a minus 210. Christian Rodriguez, of course, in there, my plus 176. And then Nuerdanbieke also at minus 230. Got him in there for the 3-man, but you know, he's kind of the wild card for me this week. I feel like Pyfer and Rodriguez are more reliable than Nuerdanbieke, but I feel like he's so tough that Garcia can't get him out of there, so we'll stick him in the parlay, and maybe he'll just win a decision or something, you know, even though he's low volume, but he's got to catch Steve Garcia in this somewhere here. So, you know, Garcia had a bloody nose against Hooper, so those are my bets this week, boys. We need a little bit of luck here, and let's wish you some luck on your bets this week, and let's make some money. All right, till next week, guys. Life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. Keep it real.